about Phil Foden?
We don't seem to have seen too much of him this season so far, do we? I'm not sure that he's played or started every time for Man City. You think of recent seasons, last season and so on. He
Hmm.
figures quite a lot. He's often, the player scoring the most, just winning man of the match and all this sort of stuff. I just
Hmm.
feel this season I've not been. I mean, I've seen him come on as a sub and maybe start even, but he doesn't seem to be quite on it, as they say at the moment. That's just a gut feeling I get from afar because I've not seen Manchester City in the flesh yet this season. I think they come to Palace early in December,
Hmm.
so we'll see them. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see about Manchester City. I know we can talk about them later, but he seems to be blooding Pep Guardiola, a sort of a new team now, a bit like Ferguson used to do once every few years for Manchester United. And if he can get this team, I mean, they're second, I think, at the moment, if he can get this team continuing to function as they are, then I mean that will speak volumes for his quality as a manager again. But
Hmm.
I mean, Foden must be part of it. I'm sure he's part of his thinking, but he just doesn't seem to be quite gaining the headlines this season that he's done in the past. Maybe that will change because we,
Yeah.
we know he's a very good player and he's still playing for England. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Actually, there's a quote from the Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola praising Phil Foden on one of the games. But
Really.
anyway, we'll come to that. Anthony Gordon. I quite like the
Well,
guy
he's
for me.
pulled out, isn't he?
Is
He's
it?
pulled out, isn't
Oh, is
he?
it?
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
yeah. He's
Well,
he's pulled out, and so is the Pope, the Newcastle goalie. Must be injury, I guess, mustn't it?
yeah, it must be. Yeah.
So he's been replaced by Trevor Chalobah, I think.
All right. Well,
So
I think he's a really good player,
he is
Anthony
a good
Gordon.
player. He's blossomed a bit this season, hasn't
Yeah,
he,
yeah, yeah,
Gordon?
yeah,
Having said which, and we'll get onto it in a minute, perhaps, but he's blossomed at a time when Newcastle it's almost going the other way a bit. They seem to be faltering, don't they? They
yeah,
really do seem to be faltering.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute anyway. Harry Kane.
Hmm.
Uh, we're not surprised he's included.
Well, I
Is
think
it?
he's still the captain, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
And no, we
Is it?
shouldn't. We should not be surprised that he's
No,
included because
no.
he is a great goal getter. And
Is
as I've probably said this before, but somebody the other day, what a player or a pundit, I can't remember who it was. You may have seen it or not,
yeah.
but they said that he's a great player, but they don't think he's world class. And the reason that rang a bell with me is because my son, my boy Paul, and I have
Mm,
always or long since disagreed on that. Paul says, no, I've never seen him as a world class centre forward. And we talked about it quite a lot over the last 2 or 3 years. And I
yeah.
said, well, for me, he is a first class, world class footballer. He doesn't just score goals, he's got that great knack of
Mm,
being in the right place at the right time, which all great goal scorers have to have. But he does occasionally come back to get the ball himself if he's not getting fed with it. And then
mm,
he'll do a brilliant sort of 60-yard cross field pass to land on someone's toe. He's got all that to his game, but it's this great football brain, this instinct he's got to be in the right place at the right time. Like people like Gary Lineker had that same sort of instinct. But I think Harry Kane has got that and much more because he does have these other areas to his game. And I think he does have these other areas to his game. And I think he's a good role model for his own team. He perseveres. He's not a lazy player. He sort of keeps his chin up, keeps his head up if things aren't going well. So he motivates the team around him, and not all captains in football do that. Some captains are a bit of they're quiet by nature, or they don't ever shout at the other players, whatever it is. But Harry Kane, I think, has got it right. He does motivate the players, and you can tell by the way they respond to him and the way they talk about him that they totally respect him as a first-rate footballer. So yeah, maybe next World Cup, maybe he'll be a bit too old then, because what is he, 31, 32, something like that?
Mm,
31, I think he is. But when he's 35, some players may still get picked, but I think for a forward, you may be asking a bit much to be playing top flight, top level football
yeah,
at 35. So we got to make the most of him while we can. And yeah, the chances are, if he's fit for the World Cup, which hopefully he will be, that he'll be knocking in the goals. And you
yeah.
never put it past him to win the Golden Boot. He's done that before, and I expect he'll do it again. A lot of
It-
people actually have expressed disappointment that he didn't stay in the Premier League and try and get Alan Shearer's goal scoring record. I think, as far as I remember, Alan Shearer has 265 goals in the Premier League, and that's 40 or 50 more than the next person. I mean, you could say it's a record that's going to be tough to beat, but really, Harry Kane most likely would have beaten it if he'd stayed and not gone to Germany, because he's knocking in the goals over there, 15 to the dozen. But who knows? He may come back. There's talk he might come back the end of the season. That sometimes is countered. I read the other day that his wife doesn't want to come back because she enjoys her life in Germany too much with their family, because their kids are going to obviously learn something about the German language, and they probably become fluent in that. So she apparently doesn't want to come back, but who knows if these stories are true. But I would imagine he will come back at some point, but I wouldn't think there will be enough time left. I don't know how many goals he's got in the Premier League. It's obviously a lot, but he still has some way to go to beat Alan Shearer. But no,
mm,
Harry Kane, our captain, and a good, solid captain at that, is right to be in the team.
yes,
Absolutely. There's no one else I would
absolutely.
put in front of him at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I was thinking is, if he was to come to England, what Premier League team would most suit him?
Crystal Palace. Sorry,
Well,
I found I said that before I'd even thought about it. It was an
yeah.
instinctive
Well,
reflex action that
Crystal Palace.